The great Polish pianist and composer Frederic Chopin once said, "Every difficulty slurred over will be a ghost to disturb your repose later on." Now, many people will observe professional musicians such as Chopin, Mozart, Beethoven, even contemporaries like Itzhak Perlman. It doesn't matter whether you're a pianist, a cellist, or violinist, or even an opera singer. When you watch these people perform, they seem to do so with absolute perfection, don't they? But what most people don't realize is they went through the requisite 10,000 plus hours, like everyone else has to, that performs at that level. And we oftentimes like to dismiss uh, abilities like that by saying, well, they're gifted, they're talented, they're endowed from on high. But the truth of the matter is, they had to go through the difficulties like everybody else did. In fact, many of their days are just fraught with mistakes and toil and labor over parts of a script or a composition that seems like they're never going to get past, but they do confront it and they do make it through it. And it pays off, as you can see. And writing something such as these pieces is no different than really playing them. I mean, there's as much difficulty in doing so. If you read about Chopin, he spent many sleepless nights pacing back and forth in his room, losing his temper because he just couldn't get things the way he wanted to. But to this day, we hear his pieces and we marvel at what we hear. That's because he overcame the difficulties. So he has some authority to be able to talk about this. He wouldn't, he had to sacrifice some sleep and some comfort to be able to overcome the difficulties. But once he did, he was pleased with his masterpiece. How do you confront difficulties in your life? Do you confront them? Do you size them up and say, do I really want to deal with this? Do I really want to confront it, or do I want to go around it? I mean, it makes a big difference. It's how you find out what you're really made of. That's the secret to it. How do you deal with difficulties? Whether it's something within your own personality, or maybe it's something you're dealing with at work, or maybe it's a financial issue or marital issue. Maybe it's something to do with your kids. Maybe it's a hobby you're pursuing. But nevertheless, there's difficulties everywhere. We like things to be easy. We like things to be comfortable. But we know we have to take the bad with the good. But a lot of people seem to fall by the wayside and really don't experience much joy. In fact, they know what it is to lose a lot of sleep because there's no self-satisfaction. You see, the reason why we don't want to slur over difficulties is because we want to know what we're made of. We want to know that we can actually do this thing. We want to know that we can accomplish something. But a lot of people become squeamish to the idea of muscling through, right? If in today's world and in our culture and our society, unfortunately, if we don't like something, then we always have someone around us or someone behind us telling us, well, you don't need to change. People should just accept you for who you are. But isn't the whole point of being human and going through life? Isn't it all about getting better? Isn't it all about contributing? Isn't it about just enjoying who we are and finding out what we're made of? But if you find something you don't like and it's too difficult to deal with, we oftentimes tell people, it's just someone else's fault. I'm a victim. But the truth is, you just haven't found out what you're made of. You've chosen to take the easy path. You've gone around it. But many of you watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. You might be the kind of person who's not afraid to confront these things. This makes me think of President Theodore Roosevelt. When he was raising his children, he would take them out into nature and he'd play this game with them. It was a race. And him and his children would stand at point A, and he'd point to a distant object far away. Well, considerably far away. Like a church steeple, a building. It could be a fence post, but something you could see, all right? You could see it. And there's this expanse between where they were standing and where they wanted to go. And the idea is to see who could make it there first, but you had to make a straight line towards it, a beeline. You had to make a straight line towards your object. And what he would tell them, he says, regardless of what you come to, you can, the rule is you can go under it, you can go over it, you can go through it, but you can't go around it. That's breaking the rules. And it didn't matter if it was a body of water, a tree, a building, a wall, a fence, didn't matter. You figured out a way. When you came to something difficult, you could either go under it, over it, through it, but you could not go around it. He was teaching his kids something quite valuable. I think he was onto something. He was a very manly man. He was somebody that a lot of men should aspire to be, actually. A fascinating figure to read about in American history, world history, as a matter of fact. But how do you deal with difficulties? You don't want to find out later on. Well, you don't want to wonder later on and ponder, what could I have done? What could have become of this thing if I had just stuck to it a little bit longer and been willing to sweat it out? Now you don't know, do you? But from this day forward, you can make a pact with yourself. I'm going to try harder. I'm not going to go around it. I'm going to find out what's inside because I'm going to go through it. I might find out what's underneath it. And here's the thing. When you do this, you find out what the advantages are to your difficulties. This is something that people who aren't willing to confront these things never experience. They never experience something like this. They don't ever get to find out what the advantages are to something undesirable, an impediment, something in their way. They don't really get to find out what that is. So, therein lies the gems, the treasures. Sometimes they're behind locked doors. But here's the thing. You can change all of that. You're stronger than you think you are. And you may not have applied yourself before, or maybe you have and you've kind of let it fall to the wayside. Assume the mantle again and move forward. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, let me know. Leave your comments down below. I do appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Be wise.